Welcome. Take It Up with Jessica Lee. I'm here with Michael Lavoie, who is the SVP of Customer Success at Airship. Hi, Michael. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jessica. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well, thank you. Great to have you on the show to talk about the innovation in marketing technology. I know you guys are helping a lot of retailers and media news outlets. Um, that's a lot of communications going on because everybody's shopping online, right? But I have not heard of Airship. So please explain a bit more in depth as far as what is it that you're doing to help marketing?
Sure. So Airship is an 8-year young company that really pioneered the concept of push notifications from mobile apps. Obviously, the mobile app landscape has really reshaped the way people use their mobile devices. And the most valuable customers to any organization are ones that have downloaded the mobile app. In fact, research has shown that the customer that has a brand's app on their mobile device is 2.8 times more valuable than a customer who does not. Now, that would be a simple solution if everybody just downloaded the customer's mobile app, but unfortunately not everyone sees the value prop in that. So what Airship started out as is helping organizations create experiences, major brands create experiences with their customers, their target audience, through the mobile app. And in doing so, we support, we're sending some of the first push notifications ever. We have evolved to support mobile in-app messaging and in-app campaigns for our enterprise customers, as well as message centers so they can have their promotions and offers front and center to them. But the reality is the mobile device, which is the area that we are helping our customers become proficient in engaging their audience in, isn't really about exclusively the mobile app. The reality is all of the consumers today interact with enterprises and brands through their mobile device, but oftentimes it's through email. Sometimes it's through SMS. Certainly the mobile wallet is a big part of the interaction that they might be having with that brand, and web notifications as well. And not to mention all of the social channels that are out there. And so our objective as an organization is to help enterprise brands and mid-tier organizations engage their customers through the mobile device and develop a deeper engagement around that mobile device, because the mobile device is typically the first place that everyone starts for their search around any transaction. Not all of them complete on the mobile device, but it's an important part of the overall customer journey, leading to a transaction or leading to customer advocacy over time.
That's right. I think the mobile device is so convenient. And so it's now the primary computer for us, right?
Yeah.
We move away from desktop to laptop to now like mobile is the computer. And I think that given we have so many channels of communications and so many devices, that it becomes a very complex journey to try to understand the customer preferences in where they want to receive that message, when they want to receive it. And to be effective, yeah, you do need a platform, a pretty intelligent platform. So explain a little bit of how you work with other technology, because we all know our marketing department has multiple technologies in place, right? So that all the tools have to kind of work together.
Yeah.
So I'm curious of how they actually collaborate together, or do they compete?
Yeah, great question. And as you pointed out, the modern day MarTech stack within, whether it be a marketing department or a commerce department is rapidly evolving, and not surprising, right? There's incredible innovation that's taking place all of the time, and new functionalities becoming available. But the core of every marketing or commerce department is data, and they're using lots of systems to maintain that data. Typically, some amount of proprietary environments to maintain customer information. Oftentimes, they might implement a CRM system or a CDP to help maintain or segment or provide some of that data out. Not uncommon for commerce to be maintained in commerce data to be maintained in a separate environment. Business intelligence, often again in a separate environment. So our job is to make sure that the data that's required to enable an experience for a customer through the mobile device is available in the Airship platform. And the traditional approach that a lot of MarTech tools have taken in the past is, they come with their own relational database or data structure, and you replicate the data from all those various systems into this MarTech piece. That's it's certainly an option, but it's hard, right? It means it's a much longer implementation process. It means that you're kind of a thick client, if you will, even though you're SaaS based and in the cloud. The process of replicating that data, maintaining that data, updating it all the time, and hygiening it is now another system that could be out of sync with everything else. And when you're talking about the expectations of customers, as you referenced, they don't have a lot of patience for demonstration that you don't know who they are. And that means that you want to be pulling the data that's the freshest and doing that in real time to enable an experience for the customer in this thing called the mobile device, which we all have an expectation is real time, so that you actually enhance that experience, drive additional engagement, and for every brand, drive towards some type of revenue event. And so we connect to all the various systems within a customer's environment in what I'll call a light way. We have some predefined integrations for lots of the common CDPs and CRM systems that are out there. Certainly the Salesforces and the Adobes of the world that we have, deep partnerships with, Segment and mParticle on the CDP side. But the reality is you can't have an integration to every single platform that exists out there, at least not in a pre-built, predefined way. And so we've taken an approach with our external data feed technology, which is, think of it as pliable plumbing that allows you to go directly to the source systems and pull out in real time the data that's required to segment an audience, pull out the appropriate attributes for creating the proper personalization for that, whether that be transactional information or any other dynamic information that you might want that would change the value or the experience for that customer. And we're pulling that and using that information real time at point of deployment of that message, regardless of the channel that we're deploying that message through. And so that allows us to integrate in what I'll call a plug and play manner with many of the tools that are in the marketing technology stack. But we even go a step further than that to allow a marketing user to use our user interface to do all of the segmentation and pull the data from those systems. And we have the ability on the deployment end. You, of course, can choose to deploy through any channel that you like, using the Airship platform, like the mobile app or SMS or a mobile wallet or web notifications or email. But if you also happen to have another vendor in that particular area that you prefer to be your deployment engine, you can still create the campaigns in our user interface, and we will send the payload over to them for deployment. So a lot of flexibility in the way we interact with and integrate into the tech stack. And candidly, we've got customers that choose any number of the options along that spectrum that I described.
So let's talk about your leadership right now. I know you manage a team of customer success managers, and it's a decent sized team. I think you have like 70 people.
That's right. Yeah, globally.
Yes. Tell us, what has your experience been managing a team during this pandemic crisis, where a lot more demand is for that digital interaction?
I think it's I think it's challenged us in a lot of ways, and it's required us to put some emphasis on the way we go about doing business. And I'm fortunate to work with a team of professionals that are quite tenured and have developed lots of deep skills and subject matter expertise in the area of mobile engagement. But the reality is our customers need different things right now, and that puts us in a position where we're trying to innovate with them in a manner which may have often been face-to-face, but now we're doing it remotely. And it's also caused us to step back and take a look at where we are able to deliver in this environment the experience that we hold ourselves to, right? So our mantra is, I want a customer to say after every interaction, I made the right decision buying from Airship. And so we've gone back, as we're now working in a different set of different environment and with a different set of tools, gone back and started to assess, are we delivering that on a consistent basis? Are there things that we need to do to continue to evolve our business to support the needs of customers? And so we've, in addition to changing the way we engage with customers and trying to be creative to recreate that in-person experience that we used to have with them in this now more virtual world. And there are some very specific things that we're doing relative to that. But we're also going back and reassessing all of the assets that we make available to our customers, and how do they get information about our product, and how do we support them in their need to progress some initiative or enable a use case that is now crucial to them because their business has been impacted by the global events. And so that reflection has allowed us to kind of identify a clear set of things that we want to progress as an organization, in parallel with making sure that we support our customers every day and these really now crucial, in some cases urgent needs that arise for them. Perfect example would be, the concepts of contactless payment or curbside pickup were not really even important to anyone 6-8 months ago, but now they've become perhaps one of the differentiators a brand might have relative to a competitor. So they'll come to us and say, listen, we need to enable this. If you're a restaurant and you were able to get through the summer months with some outdoor dining or some processes around telephone-based ordering and pickup, well, that's just not going to work when now the weather's turning cooler again in many parts of the country, and they are looking at the fact that they're going to be in this situation for some time. So now it's about formalizing that. How do I go about the process of making sure that I have an automated environment that's a good experience for the customer? And because every customer has a mobile device, that's the first place everyone thinks about creating that experience. And that puts us at the center of a lot of those conversations.
Yeah, I think that's very true. What was nice to have is now a must have in order to survive, right? And I'm wondering about the innovation in how we interact and get notified, because I know your technology helps with a lot of the notification. We are so overwhelmed with so much information, and often we can't remember everything. So now we rely on the phone to remind us a lot about what's happening around us. Have you seen a change in people's expectations of what's acceptable as far as the interaction with companies like e-commerce providers, and any changes, any trends you're seeing on the behavior of consumers and technology usage?
Yeah, I think I think consumers have been patient with brands as they've begun to ramp up, but I'm not sure how long that patience will last, given the fact that we seem to be operating in what is a bit of a new normal, and not a clear definition of when things will get back to the way they were. So I think the expectations for consumers have been, I think they've been patient, but I don't think that patience will last for long. One of the things that we've done recently is we've recently acquired a company by the name of Reply By that really brings to us two pieces of functionality around mobile commerce and mobile communication, mobile dialogue. And what we know is that for those brands that are transactional with the public, they need to have a way to make that more contactless and more streamlined, more seamless. And we also know that there's many organizations that have already been thinking forward about how do I create a better experience for customers and interact with them through the channels that they want to interact with. So we've seen our insurance companies, as an example, our insurance clients working to find ways to have two-way SMS interactions with their customers, because that happens to be a preferred channel of some generations or some individuals. And so Reply By allows us to address both of those areas of need or evolution with a single acquisition. So we're really excited to have them as a part of our overall Airship suite.
Great. I think that your technology is absolutely spot on as far as trying to help e-commerce players, and I guess a lot of B2C companies too, in keeping this engaged experience with multiple ways of communication, and the timing of it too, right? because the sequence of when you communicate and alert people, notify and all that is critical. When there's some kind of urgent notification, you need to have that. For me, I would prefer that alert on the phone immediately to tell me, not send me an email, right? And
Hmm.
so the orchestration of communicating, it has become very complex, and you do need a platform for that.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. In fact, one of the areas that we see orchestration adopted most is when a brand is trying to create a very specific experience for a customer. We have an airline customer today that, and when you think about an airline purchase, that's an event. The purchase itself, there's lots of marketing that goes into driving a customer through that purchase funnel to the purchase event, but the actual delivery of the goods doesn't happen until sometime after that. And there's a period of time which you might call post sale because you've already made the transaction, but pre-delivery of that particular service, this case of flight. And there's a lot that goes into that, and there are certain things that you want to communicate to that customer in advance. In some cases, it's just information about how to prepare for the flight, particularly if it's an international flight. There may be some things that might be different around making sure that your passport is there and present when you get to the airport. But you think about today's environment, lots of changes in the way people will fly and what an airport experience is like. And if you haven't been in an airport in some time, you might not know what those differences are. So how do you prepare someone for things that they'll need to know before they get to the airport? How do you make sure that they are getting their boarding pass in an appropriate way? I mean, everyone wants contactless, so that's most likely going to be a download of that. And then even within the airport, there's a whole bunch of information that's really critical to ensure that transaction, the actual delivery of the product or good, which is the flight, happens in an appropriate way. We've all been in airports. We know that gates can change. Well, making sure that customer knows that there was a gate change is a really important part of the process, because you don't want to use a channel to communicate with them and find out that the message got there 5 minutes after the flight left. So lots of kind of important send time optimization, but also channel selection. And in the case of an airline client of ours, we work with them today to make sure that they can craft that experience. They know what they want that to look like, and there may be tools within their technology suite that are dominant in a particular channel, like email, when you're talking about high volumes of promotional emails. But you don't want to put an email at the risk of being in a queue of others or being delayed. If a promotional email is delayed 5 minutes, it's not a big deal. If a notification email or transactional email is delayed 5 minutes, particularly about a gate change, that could have a serious impact on someone. So orchestrating the channels and knowing what the right channels are, what's the preferred channel, what's the preferred channel for the brand, what's the preferred channel for the recipient or the customer, have they demonstrated a preference, is there a channel that they engage with you most in, and demonstrating by their open rates within that channel, are there channels that are just more appropriate? So on a day of flight, if I'm at the airport and maybe there's a promotion for an upgraded seat, I want to see that probably through a push notification to my mobile device or an SMS message that I know that I'm going to get. Personally, I don't have email notifications turned on my mobile device because it would be going off all day long otherwise, right? So I've kind of narrowed that down to the ones that I find to be the most important for me to have. And even if I did have email notifications on, you become fatigued to it.
Right.
So making sure that the notifications are going through the right channel. SMS as a channel, as an example, has got a 98% open rate. And I think, of that 98% open rate, I think 95% of them opened within the first 3 minutes of it being delivered. So a channel with a very, very high likelihood of getting through. Also happens to be a more expensive channel than some of the other channels. So knowing when the right time to use it is and when the information is critical is important. A gate change would fall into that category as an example.
Well, I don't think many people are traveling, so the airline one might not be as immediate experience right now, but I must say that online shopping is something everybody's doing every week, right? We're buying stuff online. And I would say that one area I notice is lacking would be even beyond just the buying, beyond just the delivery part. But I think of opportunities to improve customer relationship is also when you need to refund them. And often I find that it would be great if they can just notify me that we sent the refund to your bank. Please check to
Yeah.
confirm receipts, right? It's like following through to even the last step of having the customer be aware, and then they can check and confirm. Otherwise, I just think that it's a lost opportunity if you just leave it up to the customer having to go back and verify it on their own. It's a missed opportunity to strengthen the relationship. So
Yeah.
your technology can enable all of those kind of scenarios and orchestrate that to the very end.
That's exactly right. And what you're describing, I think in many ways is what McKinsey and company has called the loyalty loop, where once a customer makes a purchase, everything that happens after that will determine whether or not they are considering you first the next time they need something that you sell. And so in that experience, yeah, it's not just you've gotten the transaction done, celebrate. Now it's about making sure that that post transaction experience is crucial. And that could be a combination of, obviously making sure that they know that the order was completed or confirmed. If it's something that's being shipped, letting them know when it's shipped, letting them know if it arrived, because it's all available today and can be shown on someone's phone in a text message or an in-app notification to let them know that the transaction's arrived. And all of those things are things that we are enabling for our customers through this orchestration across all these mobile device channels. Another one that I think is pretty important right now, when you think about homes, it's not something you would have traditionally thought about as being a booming market in a pandemic, but it actually is. There are so many people that are making decisions to move or take this opportunity to find more space for working at home or what have you, that the real estate markets in pretty much every region of the country are exploding. And when you think about one of the tools that shoppers for homes use, it's things like Zillow. And if you're in competition for a home, understanding almost in real time what the updates are on a particular property, or the tools that you need to be able to make sure that your application for that property are going to allow you to compete successfully, is really crucial information. And so being able to interact with a platform like Zillow in multiple channel way to ensure that you're getting the information that you need in real time is very much a priority if you're the buyer of a home or you're trying to find your next piece of property to spend some time in.
It's been great talking with you, Michael, about the customer engagement platform and how the innovation has enabled e-commerce and news outlets, media outlets here to stay engaged with customers in the most optimal way, given we have so many channels of communication devices to handle.
I've enjoyed it very much, Jessica. Thanks for having me.
There you have it. Take it up with Jessica Lee, Michael Lavoie from Airship.